we didn't know there was that much politics before this pandemic when it comes to science itself. The big story here in France, or in a lot of places, is we had read that report in The Lancet saying hydroxychloroquine was suddenly a no-go, that it was dangerous based on a study that has now been retracted by that medical journal. The doctor in Marseille, who's been the biggest proponent of it in this country, is not surprised.
Il trouve qu'il y a exactement la même moyenne âge, qu'il y a exactement le même sexe ratio, et je pense que c'est techniquement strictement impossible.
Erin Ogunkeye, two questions in this. First of all, what do you make of this shift? One day it's bad, the next day it's okay to continue the clinical trials. And secondly, did you ever imagine that medicine would be something so tribal?
Yes, I have a lot of medical professionals in my own family, but that's indeed what I think is so fascinating, is that often, myself included, people see doctors as these kind of holders of objective and absolute truths in science and in medicine. And the reality is, research is a process that is constantly evolving. There are very few definitive answers, and especially not in a disease that was unknown to humans more or less before, late last year. So I think that's what's really fascinating about it, is people coming to terms. We saw the same thing with masks. At first we were told in France, at least, that they were totally useless. And little by little, now we're in a place where we're obliged to wear them in public transport. We're wearing them in the office. So it just goes to show that, like you say, there's tribalism in medical communities, and it's very, very hard to find objective truths, especially in things that are new.
Marco, Chown, Oved, your thoughts, especially all this talk of chloroquine must bring back memories of your days as a West Africa correspondent.
That's right. I mean, one of the things that has jumped out to me is this conversation between medical professionals, researchers, people, academics who are normally sort of cloistered in their own communities, having these very technical conversations. And now what we're seeing is they're debating online on Twitter, where regular folks can sort of chip in their 2 cents. And these kinds of weird mixed conversations between experts and laymen is something that we've focused on here at the Star. And it is a bit of a double-edged sword, in the sense that it's far more transparent than it's ever been before. And so people can kind of see the process of science, the scientific method, if you will, playing out in real time. But the flip of it, of course, is that people might take a single piece of that conversation out of context and believe that it is the truth, and because a scientist said it, it must be true. And so I think what it's done is it's sort of asked observers of science, non-scientists, to kind of up their scientific literacy, and as Erin was saying, to understand that truths are temporary, and that conclusions can never really be made, and that everything has to be seen in context. But this fascinating worldwide conversation where doctors in Italy are collaborating with researchers in California, and who are then talking about what's going on in China or Taiwan. I've spoken to researchers who say, it used to take us a year to get to the level of understanding that we've gotten to in weeks.